Seahawks fans, hold on to your seats. Big shakeups could hit Seattle before the NFL trade deadline. One of your top cornerbacks might be on the move, and the ripple effects could change the entire NFC West. This isn't just speculation. Things are heating up fast. The Seattle Seahawks are standing on the edge of a whirlwind. The NFL trade deadline is looming on November 4th, and rumors are swirling like never before. Every corner of the league is making calls, sending offers, and keeping eyes locked on Seattle. And at the center of it all, Reek Woolen, a cornerback who has become the talk of every trade rumor mill. For weeks now, whispers have grown louder. Seattle is open to moving Woolen. Teams desperate for help in the secondary have been dialing, messaging, and exploring ways to make it happen. The latest report from Bleacher Report dives deep into the possibilities. They've identified 4 teams that could realistically call the Seahawks: the Los Angeles Rams, Detroit Lions, Indianapolis Colts, and the Baltimore Ravens. Each team has its own needs, its own strategies, but do any of these make sense for Seattle? Let's break it down. Starting with the Rams, the answer is simple: no. You don't trade with a team in your division that's breathing down your neck for a playoff spot. LA is only half a game behind Seattle, thanks to the NFC West tiebreaker. They might be desperate, but you don't hand a key player to a direct rival. It's just not happening. Next, the Ravens. Sure, Baltimore has a cornerback need, but their defensive scheme is almost identical to Seattle's, and that's a problem. Reek Woolen thrives as a man-to-man corner, a style that isn't fully compatible with Baltimore's system. Without the right coaching, the switch might be too much, and a change of scenery alone won't magically turn him into a perfect fit. The Seahawks know this, and it makes Baltimore a risky option at best. Detroit and Indianapolis? Those are the next names on the list, and they bring different possibilities, but each comes with its own set of complications. Every potential trade has to make sense strategically, not just financially. The Seahawks are playing chess here, not checkers. They need the right fit for their defense, their locker room, and their championship ambitions. Reek Woolen's future in Seattle isn't just a player move. It's a story that could reshape the team and the division. And as the trade deadline inches closer, every phone call, every rumor, every scout report matters. Seahawks fans, this is a moment to watch closely. When you really think about it, some teams just don't add up. Take the Baltimore Ravens, for example. Would they seriously invest in a player who could just be a one-year rental? If Reek gets traded there, chances are he's gone after just one season. Why risk it? Baltimore calling Seattle? It just doesn't make sense. That leaves us with 2 more realistic options, and they're much more interesting: the Indianapolis Colts and the Detroit Lions. Let's start with Indianapolis. The Colts have quietly been one of the biggest surprises this season. Nobody expected them to be here. They were written off before the season even started. And yet, as of now, they have the highest playoff odds in the NFL. 98.3%. That's more than Buffalo, more than Kansas City, more than the Patriots. Even Tennessee, already eliminated after just 8 weeks. For Indianapolis, the playoffs are suddenly very real. And when a team finds itself in a position like this, you do whatever it takes to strengthen weak spots. And Reek Woolen could be that upgrade. He's a talented corner who could immediately improve their secondary, giving them even more firepower as they push toward a deep playoff run. From Seattle's perspective, sending Woolen to the AFC isn't the worst idea. Sure, they might face him later in the season, but aside from that, it's not a matchup that could hurt them in the NFC. And if the Seahawks could land a valuable trade piece in return, that's a win-win. Now let's look at Detroit. The Lions have been battered by injuries, especially on defense. Last year, injuries completely derailed their season, and this year hasn't been much kinder. Their cornerback room has seen extended absences from key players, and the safety position isn't much better. If Detroit had even a half-healthy defense last season, they might have been serious Super Bowl contenders. This year, the Lions are desperate to find stability and talent in the secondary, and Reek Woolen could be exactly what they need. A healthy, skilled cornerback like him could immediately strengthen a team that's been struggling to stay consistent on defense. For Seattle, both the Colts and the Lions present opportunities. The key is to find the team that gives the Seahawks the best return while also ensuring Woolen lands somewhere he can make an impact. It's a delicate balance, and every phone call, every rumor, every potential deal could reshape the Seahawks, and maybe even the NFC West. Before November 4th, Detroit's defense has been a nightmare this season, and it's frustrating. Year after year, injuries keep piling up, leaving holes in the lineup and stopping the Lions from being a true contender. Think about last season. Detroit had a chance, but their defense couldn't hold up. Jared Goff didn't play his best. Sure, but if the defense had been healthy and capable, maybe that game could have stayed close. Maybe Detroit could have walked away with a win. And who knows? Maybe they would have hosted an NFC championship game against the Eagles. That's the power of a strong defense. And that's exactly why adding a player like Reek Woolen could matter so much. Detroit fans don't want a repeat of last year, and neither should any team serious about making a playoff run. Now, here's where I want your opinion. Seahawks fans, think about it. Would you trade Reek Woolen in the NFC at all? I've already laid out the AFC options, but what about staying in the same conference? Does it make sense to move him within the NFC? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see what you all think. Before I give my full opinion on where Reek should go, let's break down his stats from this season so far. Yes, he missed a game due to a concussion, but even in the games he's played, there's a lot to consider. Through 6 games, Reek has racked up 19 tackles. For a cornerback, that's solid. It shows opponents aren't targeting him often, but when they do, he makes plays. He also has 3 pass breakups, proving he can disrupt passes and make a difference in coverage. Here's where it gets tricky. No tackles for loss, TFLs, and no interceptions yet. For TFLs, that's not a huge concern. Most corners aren't expected to pile up tackles behind the line unless they're blitzing constantly or are exceptional like Devin Witherspoon. But interceptions, that's where I want to see more aggression. Reek has the skill to take risks, jump routes, and turn plays into game-changing turnovers. That's what can take him from good to great, and it's something Seattle will want to see if they're thinking about trading him. Every stat tells a story, and these numbers are part of the bigger picture. They show you what kind of player Reek Woolen is, where he shines, and where there's room to grow. And when you put all of this together, you start to understand why the Seahawks trade decision isn't just about moving a corner. It's about shaping the future of the team and the NFC playoff race. Call to action. So, Seahawks fans, what do you think? Should Reek Woolen stay in Seattle, or should he be traded? If traded, would you send him to the Colts, the Lions, or keep him in the NFC? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear your voice on this big, season-defining decision. After that Houston game, Reek reminded everyone exactly why he's such a valuable piece of this defense. He shut down routes, disrupted plays, and showed the kind of instincts that can change a game. That's why all these trade rumors hitting the news are so wild. It's easy to forget just how good this guy is when you're hearing speculation every day. Bleacher Report even predicted a trade to the Detroit Lions, but let me be blunt. No shot. Absolutely no chance. Trading Reek anywhere in the NFC? Forget it. You can't send him to the Rams, they're in your division. Facing them twice a year is tough enough. You don't want to empower a direct competitor. And the Lions? Same story. You're likely to face them in a playoff run if you want to chase the Super Bowl. Trading Reek to an NFC team right now is like cutting off your own hand. Don't do it. Stay away. Baltimore? Also a no-go. Their defensive scheme won't highlight Reek's skills. You'd be sending a top corner into a system that might waste his talent. If you trade him there, it's a gamble that doesn't pay off for Seattle. Indianapolis is the only team that makes some sense, but let me warn you, if you move Reek to the Colts, you better get an incredible return. I'm talking offensive line help, draft picks, or multiple assets. Right now, Seattle's secondary is not deep enough to risk losing him. One injury and suddenly you're scrambling, begging guys to play above their limits. You're counting on Darian Kendrick, Josh Job, and Devin Witherspoon. All talented, all dealing with injuries or inconsistency, to hold the fort. That's a dangerous position to put your team in during a playoff push. Yes, it stinks to imagine losing Reek in the offseason. No fan wants that. But right now, this team is playing for big goals. You need him in the back end of your defense to stay competitive. And he needs to play like he did against Houston. Smart, aggressive, and mistake-free. If he can do that consistently, Seattle's secondary becomes a wall that quarterbacks can't touch. If a trade does happen, you do not want to miss it. This could be one of the biggest moves of the season. Stay alert, stay ready, and be first in line to see the news when it drops. This is a player who can change a game, and the Seahawks' decisions here could ripple all the way to the playoffs.